Dogecoin.
We'll talk more about Dogecoin. It keeps climbing.
With a single word, Doge. It's up by 72%. I don't even follow this or know what's going on with it.
Well, I never thought that this would happen, but I did it. I am in. I bought Dogecoin. Now, before you think that I've completely lost my mind, let's rewind a little bit, because I have a lot to say about what's been going on, and this is getting out of hand. It all started about 2 weeks ago when a close friend of mine, Andre Jick, did a video covering a story about a man who YOLO'd all of his savings to go and buy Dogecoin, and then exactly 69 days later, he became a millionaire. But if you thought that was wild and the happy ending just stops there with rainbows and sunshine, oh no. Just wait, this keeps getting crazier. A few days later, Andre met up with a Dogecoin millionaire in person where they went through a heated debate about whether or not he should sell everything or diamond hands until the price of Dogecoin reaches $1. And not too much longer after that, his Dogecoin account grew to over $2 million. But nope, he held even more, and that's when I got a knock at the front door. Sure enough, it was them, and I heard him out. I went in with an open mind, and I listened to his bullish thesis and tried to give some constructive criticism. But sure enough, he was holding out for SNL, where Elon Musk was scheduled to make an appearance to boost the price of Dogecoin even further. But on that night of SNL, something happened. Robinhood sell orders refused to go through, the price of Dogecoin tanked, and the Dogecoin millionaire saw his account drop $1 million in the span of an hour. So now, here's where we are today. I traveled back to Los Angeles to go and meet up with the Dogecoin millionaire himself, see if he sold, and figure out why Robinhood went down during one of the most crucial points of trading. Not to mention now there's a dozen other currencies out there promising to be the next Dogecoin in the event you missed out on the first one. So we've got a lot to talk about today, including what's in store for the future of Dogecoin, so this is going to be a great episode. But really quick, before we start, real talk, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who helped get my previous video to over 100,000 likes. That to me was unbelievable. I never thought that would happen, so if we're able to do it again on this video, I promise you, I will make a fool of myself and jump back into my unheated pool with all of my clothes on. So if you want to see me do that in one of the upcoming videos, just hit the like button, and also big thank you to Policy Genius for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. Alright, so here's what happened. Throughout the last week, the price of Dogecoin began to rally with anticipation of the Doge father himself, Elon Musk, talking about it on SNL and boosting the price. Which, just for reference, $1 Dogecoin would value it the same as 20% of the entire market cap of Tesla. Just saying. But anyway, the closer we got to SNL, the higher the price of Dogecoin went, all the way up to nearly 75 cents. But then, someone with a lot of money immediately sold, the price fell, and then chaos ensued. By the time the episode was over and people were left scratching their heads wondering, is this it? Robinhood crashed, making it impossible for anyone who wanted to sell to sell. Now, Robinhood did apologize and they fixed the issue within an hour, although there was no explicit mention of what actually caused this issue to begin with. However, I have my own speculation of what happened, based on absolutely no facts whatsoever and just my pure wild imagination. But something to consider is that every crypto exchange has its own unique ecosystem of supply and demand, and those values aren't necessarily pegged to one universal price like the stock market is. So typically, this could be exploited through a term called crypto arbitrage, where traders are able to buy cryptocurrency for a lower price on one platform, then immediately transfer it to another platform where they could instantly sell it for more money. In most cases, the market just balances it between supply and demand, and those arbitrage opportunities are quickly leveled between platforms. But since Robinhood doesn't allow you to withdraw and move your Dogecoin off of the platform, everyone currently on Robinhood essentially sets the market price for what Dogecoin should be trading at. Now, here's the problem. Hypothetically, what if everyone wanted to sell their Dogecoin on Robinhood all at the exact same time, but only a few people were there to buy it? Well, in that example, hypothetically, the price of Dogecoin might plummet to the level that those remaining buyers are willing to pay. And if that price is 20 cents, well, then that's the price the market has set. But that then creates another problem. You shouldn't have one exchange selling Dogecoin at a dramatically different price than another exchange. So in my totally speculative, uninformed opinion, Robinhood had too many sellers all at the exact same time, not enough buyers, and that caused the platform to temporarily seize up until that equilibrium was leveled. And really, who knows, maybe a more plausible reason was that they just had too many people buying and selling on their platform at the exact same time and they couldn't handle it. But that then brings us to now. The price of Dogecoin has been somewhat declining. New YouTube channels are popping up with updates every few hours on the price of Dogecoin, and even replacements are popping up like Shiba Inu coin, which aim to solve the problem for everyone who missed out on the first time. But before we go into all of that and where Dogecoin is going from here, we should go and meet up with the Dogecoin millionaire himself, himself, get the latest updates, and then see how much his portfolio is worth today. We met with Andre a few days ago.
Yeah.
What is your portfolio worth right now? $1,980,000. What did you think of that SNL episode?
It was a mixed bag, man. Like, there were some skits that were like kind of cool, and then some of them was like, you know what I'm saying?
What was it like for you watching your portfolio drop $1 million in an hour?
I'm not gonna lie, man. It was a little nerve-wracking. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting there, and the thing is this, like I said this in a Newsweek article too, it would be disingenuous of me to just show the gains, right? Oh, I just made $1 million, $2 million, I'm almost at 3 million, 2.9 million, this is crazy, and act like Dogecoin never dips. That's gonna happen. So I sat there on live stream, my portfolio out, you know, showing exactly what was happening. So if it dipped, it dipped. If it went up, it went up. I'm there holding strong no matter what, you know?
That was $1 million. That's 20 years of a salary. It's gone in an hour.
I feel like I just have so much faith in Dogecoin and the community that we're gonna hold strong and we're gonna come together, and this is really for the people and for the community, that it will eventually rise again. If it doesn't do it in the next week, it'll do it in the next 2 weeks or in the next month or in the next 2 months. Like, I'm in it for the long haul.
Hypothetically, if this were to go back down to, let's say, 10 cents.
Oh, you know what I'm gonna say.
You would just still hold.
I'm buying the dip.
You'll buy more.
Yeah.
But what if it never recovers?
I believe in the coin and I like the coin, and I feel like over time it's gonna rise and it's gonna go back up, and I'll be able to reap those benefits along with all the other shibs that held strong.
All right, well, before I talk about my own opinions on this, as well as some of the imitation coins that are coming up,
Ooh, we can talk about that.
all of this sounds really stressful. Do you have life insurance?
I don't think so.
Because our video sponsor, Policy Genius, is here to help. They're an insurance marketplace, not an insurance company, so within minutes, you could work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. Policy Genius makes it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. And you could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. And because their licensed professionals work for you and not for the insurance companies, you could trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. Plus, they never sell your information to other companies. And listen, I get it, insurance is never something you want to think about needing, and it's so easy to keep putting it off. But sometimes the peace of mind associated with knowing that your loved ones are fully covered in the event something happens makes it entirely worth it. The process doesn't need to be confusing, it doesn't need to be complicated, and you could save $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare policies. From there, they'll handle the rest, from paperwork, scheduling, and negotiating with the insurance company on your behalf for free. So head to policygenius.com/Graham to get started right now. Alright, so as far as what's going on with Dogecoin right now, we gotta talk about both the pros and the cons so we get a full understanding of exactly what's happening. Now first, on the pro side, I'm actually rather impressed with how well the price has held up after SNL. Even though the price is currently down about 35% from its peak, I think it could have been a lot worse, and the immediate sell-off following the episode had the potential to completely crash prices, but it didn't, because Robinhood forced everyone not to sell. Just kidding. The second, a few days ago, SpaceX announced that they would be accepting Dogecoin as payment for their upcoming mission to the moon called the Doge 1. That would help drive more attention and exposure towards the currency, which would further help boost up the price. Now third, yesterday morning, Elon Musk tweeted his followers asking if they'd like him to accept Dogecoin as payment for their cars. Now this one is probably not as easy as him just flipping a switch and accepting Dogecoin, and it's probably got to pass through a board of directors and heavy regulatory scrutiny. But I see this one as actually being something that's very plausible, and at this point, I would probably be more surprised if he didn't accept Dogecoin as payment for Teslas. Now fourth, I think there's absolutely value in what's known as the network effect, where the price is derived exponentially by the number of users it has. The more people buy, hold, use, and adopt Dogecoin, the more valuable it becomes, the harder it is to replace, and the more people trust it. Now fifth, anecdotally, there's a lot of people who believe this is going to follow the same path as Bitcoin, which routinely falls 70 to 90% in value, consolidates for a few years, and then eventually moves to its brand new all-time high. The sixth, the crypto bull Mike Novogratz said the Dogecoin rally was a middle finger to the system, and that there was something pure about the recent rally in terms of what Dogecoin has done. It really does represent a true belief that the current system is broken, people are unhappy with the status quo, and Dogecoin is seen as a happy solution, which happens to go up in price. The seventh, I have to say I have never seen a community as strong as Dogecoin. It appears as though it's really driven from the heart, with dedication like no other, regardless if money is lost. It's held by by people who believe in the principle, they stand by the message, and they want to see it succeed, and I think those people are what makes Dogecoin what it is today. Now, eighth, there's also a lot of speculation that this could one day be listed on Coinbase, and that would give it significantly more exposure. And if that happens throughout other exchanges as well, that network effect would continue to grow Dogecoin and further solidify it as a currency. And finally, ninth, there might be something to be said about people rotating their money out of the stock market and into cryptocurrency. Now, this one is purely anecdotal and just my opinion, but it wouldn't surprise me if people are putting their money into cryptocurrency as the stock market is selling off. And that, I think, has the potential to usher in a brand new investor who wants an alternative asset during a time where everything else isn't doing so well. But just like with anything, rarely is something like this black and white, and there are plenty of downsides that people are mentioning that deserve to be acknowledged as well. Number one, the last time SNL talked about a meme like this, they marked the peak before a sell-off. Take the example of January 30th, 2021, where they created a skip centered around the GameStop stock. Then, of course, shortly after, the price plummets. Now, obviously, that's not because SNL mentioned it or because the jokes were unfunny, but instead, when the price is entirely driven around media attention, by the time SNL gets a hold of it, it's already too late and the price to get in at a discount is long gone. Now, second, even though it's a really fun idea to think that Dogecoin could take over the world, and honestly, I wouldn't even mind. The fact is, it can't be used as a viable currency until the price stabilizes and we have a solid baseline for what people universally think it's worth. Like, no sane retailer would want to accept Dogecoin when the price fluctuates 20 to 100% in a day beyond just a quick marketing ploy, or when the price is entirely determined at the frequency in which Elon Musk tweets about it. So in my opinion, the real value of Dogecoin is going to be when people move on from it, they forget about it, they pay attention to something else, and it really has a chance on its own to find its own footing. Now, third, just because it's always recovered in the past and gone up doesn't mean it always will. The reality is, for every example of a Bitcoin, there's a dozen others that rise, fall, and then just go nowhere. A good example of this would be Nano, which went from a penny to being worth over $33, which means a return of 300,000%. But after that, it dropped 96%, and still to this day, it's trading at less than a third of what it used to. Now, fourth, there's also a clear problem with copycat cryptocurrencies popping up out of nowhere, trying to capitalize on the excitement of Dogecoin. Like this one, Shiba. It calls itself the Dogecoin killer, and it's up a casual 20,000% within a month. We also have Kisha Inu, which is a straight-up knockoff of Dogecoin, up 178% in the last 24 hours. And that is a sign of flat-out euphoria that is unsustainable. Now, fifth, at some point, the SEC is likely to reevaluate what they define to be a currency and what they define to be a security. And that way, they would be able to impose further regulation. Like today, copycat Dogecoins going up 800% in a month is completely legal thanks to the fine print within the SEC that classifies a currency as something that's fungible, divisible, transferable, portable, and scarce. And that distinction allows these currencies to be openly traded without any regulation from the SEC. However, this could be an issue if the SEC ever classifies these as securities, which represents a piece of ownership in something that could be bought and sold for a profit. And really, the only difference now between the two is that cryptocurrency is decentralized, and so there's no one point of contact to comply with regulation. But not everyone is so lucky. For example, the SEC recently charged Ripple and two executives for a $1.2 billion unregistered securities offering because they deemed that to be a centralized token and therefore a security that needed to be regulated. Even though it's certainly a gray area today, there's certainly the possibility that eventually the SEC gets involved and further regulation would bring down the price. And finally, number 6, anything that goes up 20,000% in less than a year has the potential to go down significantly, and that needs to be taken into consideration. Something like this, as of now, is driven by a lot of enthusiasm that over time it's going to be worth more money, and that's too early to tell. So hope for the best, brace for the worst, and do not invest money that you're not comfortable with losing. As far as my own thoughts on this, as a creator, it's risky to talk out against Dogecoin. Saying anything negative is taken the same way as speaking out against someone's religion or political belief while taking the stance that you want them to fail and lose money. But we also have to be practical here, and when we're talking about a potential investment, it also comes with a high degree of risk. For me, I've learned it's nearly impossible to value a cryptocurrency like you would a traditional investment like stocks or real estate. I've also been very surprised with the performance of Bitcoin, and that's really opened my eyes to understand that I don't know it all. I still have a lot to learn, and the best thing that I could do is be as open-minded as possible to hearing out all sides. But I can't help but feel that as great of a concept as this is, and I would love to see it one day take over the world, the price right now is out of control, it doesn't make any sense, and I would be surprised if it were able to sustain these levels on its own. Now, that is not to say that it can't ever reach $1, but can it can't do it on its own without a push from Elon Musk. I would be worried that, as with anything this volatile, there's some big money at play behind the scenes that's looking to take advantage of retail traders buying in. So I would be very cautious about where you think this will go and when. Even though a lot of people right now are well in profit, and someone like the Dogecoin millionaire is probably never going to see a loss on his original investment, there are still other people out there who bought in at 74 cents and may very well never see that price again. Not to mention, even assuming that everything goes perfectly, it hits $1 and it's eventually replaced as a currency, there's still going to be the challenge of having to pay a capital gains tax on everything that you buy with Dogecoin because technically you made a profit. Now sure, I will admit that paying tax on profit is the ideal scenario and you can never complain about making money. But that's certainly something to eventually consider for anyone holding out to eventually buy a Chipotle burrito with Dogecoin while incurring a 30% tax bill. So overall, I am worried about how well this price is going to sustain itself, and if I were the Dogecoin millionaire, I would have sold out entirely and enjoyed the rest of my life as someone who played the game and won. But the community is very strong, it's got one of the wealthiest people on the entire planet supporting it, and it's proven to be still very resilient during a sell-off. Now as for my own Dogecoin investment, I promised that if my previous video got 100,000 likes, I would buy $10,000 worth of Dogecoin and hold it. Well, I never thought that that would actually happen, but I am keeping my word and buying $10,000 worth of Dogecoin at the current price of about 44 cents. Now stay tuned for that, I have another video coming out shortly on that, but thank you guys so much for all of your support, and all of that comes to you at the low cost of just one like on the video. So thank you guys so much for watching, I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to also destroy the subscribe button and the notification bell. Also feel free to add me on Instagram. I post pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there. As my second channel, The Graham Stephan Show, I post there every single day. I don't post here. So if you want to see a brand new video from me every single day, make sure to add yourself to that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.